of Christianity and being around an industry that's not so accepting?
Well, first of all, I think it's been a journey. I'll just say that. In the very beginning, when I wanted to be a studio singer, I wanted to be a background singer on people's records. That's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to be a star. I didn't want to be an artist. I just wanted to sing background vocals. So when my wife and I got married, we moved to Nashville because I knew a lot of Christian artists that were there. Like, I followed a lot of them, and I knew a lot of the background singers were, and I wanted to get in that camp, but I didn't know how. And so I was just asking God, like, how do I do this? How am I supposed to break in? Like, everyone was telling me, you've got to be really good at promoting yourself. You've got to be a networker. You've got to knock on these doors. And I would feel so, that just felt off to me. I couldn't do it. It felt slimy. It felt opportunistic. I'm not saying it's bad for everybody. I'm just saying for me, it wasn't the way. And the more I sought God on that, he would lead me to scriptures that said things like, promotion only comes from the Lord. Okay, so how do I get promoted, Lord? If you humble yourself under my mighty hand, I will lift you up when it's time. These are scriptures. Be like Jesus, who made no reputation for himself. When you come into a party, take the lowest seat at the table. Don't lift up your head. Don't presume to take the seat of honor. And then the host has to say, actually, that's for somebody else. You go sit down there. Don't do that. Instead, come in low and allow God, when you humble yourself. I used to ask God, oh God, humble me. That's not a biblical prayer. You humble yourself under God's mighty hand, and he'll lift you up when it's time. So I was like, okay, that's either true or it's not true. So I'm going to trust that that's true. Now, this was over 30 years ago that all of this was, that God was laying this foundation for me. But what he proved to me, and I don't have time to go into the whole story, but basically,
I was waiting tables at a restaurant in Nashville. And I was practicing listening to his instruction and reading the word and what he said to do, because the word of God contained the keys to our success in life. And so I would read those things like, humble yourself, make yourself low. Don't try to lift yourself up. Allow God to do it. I was like, okay. So I'm waiting tables in this restaurant, and these people are coming in that I want to work with on my bucket list, producers, singers, artists, and they're all sitting in my section. And I want so badly to go, oh my gosh, I want to work for you. Oh my gosh, you're the best. There's everything in me that wanted to do that, but I kept hearing this voice. Shh, don't say a word. Just serve them and walk away. And so it became a joke because of the people that came and sat in my section. I was like, this is hilarious, God. Thank you so much. Well, 5 months into my time at this restaurant, a woman came in. I did not know who she was. She turned out to be the vice president of Curb Records. And she was bugging me after a number of times coming in and asking for me in my section. And I didn't know why, but she just basically called me out. She was like, I bet you're a really good singer. I want you to come to my office and I want to hear your demo. So after her bugging me probably 3 times, I went to her office. She listened to my demo for about 10 seconds, stopped it, didn't say a word, went over to the phone, picked up the phone, called a producer, and said, yeah, I got him here. Can you work on Thursday? Yes. Yeah, he'll be there. She wrote down an address on a sticky note and gave it to me. And it was the producer who was at the top of my bucket list to work for in Nashville. And and I was on a session with him by myself that Thursday, and he called another producer for the next day. I was booked the next day. That producer called another producer, and literally over that weekend, I had to quit my job because I was booked for 3 weeks, and it never stopped. The Lord told me, you will not have to write an email, make a phone call, ask or solicit for any work. I will bring it all to you if you do it my way. It's not the easy way because you relinquish control. But if you do it my way, I will elevate you to a place where no man can take you out of my hand. If you trust the feeble hand of man to lift you up, they'll get bored. They'll drop you. I will never drop you, and no one can take you out of the place where I put you. And he's proven that to me for the last over 30 years in the industry. So the foundation, I say all of that to just share that the foundation of my life in this industry has been in the secret place with God, learning his principles and seeking to walk in a way that honors him. I remember early on in Hollywood, I was on a set of a show, and God said to me, it like interrupted me and said, hey, by the way, there's one reason that I have you here. It's not for your status. And this was at the beginning of the show Glee that I worked on. He said, you are a bridge for me to walk across and love these people that I created. That's it. That's the only reason I have you here. So don't get it twisted. This is not about you. So there's a scripture that says, the perfect love of God casts out all fear. It was in that moment, I just felt like the fear of the opinion of other people just kind of fell off of me. And I felt so free to just walk around to these actors and producers and directors and whoever was on set. I felt free to just love people, to be myself, without fear. And that is kind of been my mission. And not to be a weirdo. Like Christians can just be weird. Church people can be weirdos.
We were saying that earlier, yeah.
Who try to go into these places in the marketplace, in business, and be an evangelist, or it's fine. Like if that's what you feel like God's asked you to do. But I think more often what is most effective is when we can walk into the marketplace and be so skilled at what we do that our peers look at us and the people that hire us look at us and they're like, I want this guy around. Because of his faith? No, because of his skill. That's why in Proverbs it says, do you see a person of great skill? They will stand before kings. Why does God want to place us before kings? So that we can influence kings, because kings influence culture. So it became very clear to me, God wants to trust us with these positions in society so that we can represent him and make him famous and love the people that we come in contact with. Wow, I'm really preaching. Sorry.
No, it's shocking that someone like you has been in a world that's entrenched in like anti-God, like rhetoric, right? Like the what you've experienced, and then you could be just this like glimmer of hope, this beacon of light in a world that's like so dark. Because the music industry, we all know, and we've all heard the rumors that, that's like these superstars have sold their soul to the devil. That's at least here, that's the, the gossip. I don't know how much validity there is to all these superstars selling their souls to the devils. You would know better than any of us. I mean, is there any truth to that? I mean, I don't know. I mean,
yeah, there's truth to it. Yeah. Because just like I had a dream that I chose to asked God about, and I followed his precepts to get me there. They have a dream, and they also had a choice of which God they asked to get them there. And I do believe 100%, I know it. Many of them have done some crazy things and sacrificed and compromised their souls for their money and fame, for sure. Yeah, but this is how I see it. Everyone is desperate for love, and true love, the love of God. And no one can deny that. Like, if you come at, I've had a lot of interactions with a lot of people who are in some pretty dark stuff, but I don't see it as us and them. I just see us as, we're the same. Us. We're all just people that are broken. And if you hate God and you hate the church, it's probably because you were wounded in some way and traumatized by someone in the church that said to represent God. This is just a person who's hurting. That's how I see everybody.
I mean, the reality is, and we've said this many times, just like the church is just a hospital. Everybody's sick together. We're all just sick together.
Yeah.
You know, there's like some person might be a little bit better than the other, but they're all sick.
Yeah.
And even in my faith and in our culture, like, we've lost multitudes of people because of hypocrisy. It's like, no, it's not hypocrisy. It's just, that's just humanity.
Humanity, brokenness.
Yeah, humanity. And, you know, we all struggle in the same aspects of life.
Yeah. And I think you asked me how it's been to be, or I think a lot of the church will say, well, why do you want to be a part of something so dark? Okay. It's like you're in the mortgage industry, correct? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of crap that goes on in your industry that is evil and false and wrong, right? That's correct.
I was actually just thinking that, like, how many people sell their souls to the devil in music, but how many people sell their souls to the devil in finance?
Come on, in any industry. Sorry, it's
so we just don't have the same memes or whatever. You know, we don't have the same. You know, like,
because there's not celebrities as much. In these other industries, so it doesn't get as much coverage. But where was I going with that? It was so good too. I had such good things to say. I can't. Oh, yeah. So the church says, my grandmother used to tell me this, Tim, she's Southern, Tim, don't give your talent to the devil. Don't give your talent to the world. You got to use it for the Lord. Well, I can use my talent for the Lord in the marketplace. And I think so many people have run away. You know, the church used to be the place where all of the creative arts came out of. Yeah. They all were born in the church. But because I think by and large, Christians have forfeited they've run away. They've run into the mountains and like run away from the industry because it's evil. I don't want to be corrupted. Well, that's why it's so corrupted, because the presence of God has left, because God's presence is carried through people. Hello. So why do we think that God doesn't want us in the darkest places in the world? Like, Jesus, that's who Jesus hung out with. The people that were the most depraved, the prostitutes, the criminals. He didn't care, because he knew they needed life. He knew they needed love. He knew they needed him. Why do we think we're any different? So I've had several people over the years, you know, people that I knew earlier in my life, who were religious. I'll say religious, because they care more about the rules, and they don't care as much about Jesus and what Holy Spirit is doing in the earth. who would say to me, you know, I can't follow you on it anymore because you're on this television show that promotes darkness. And I would say, okay, peace. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. You're so short-sighted, and you can't imagine that God could use somebody in the industry. And I did start to have this conversation with them before we ended it. But they said, well, has anyone accepted Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior? I said, first of all, that's not my job. My job is to communicate the love of the Father to people, to bring the kingdom of God and excellence to the earth in the marketplace. That's my job.
And show it. And you live Christ. You lived it.
That's it.
You got to live Christ around all these people who they were like, what's up with this guy? And like, why is he so different? Why is he so happy? Why is he in such a good mood? Why does he have such great hair?
That was the real question. It's a wig. I'm wearing a wig. No, so for me, I wouldn't change a thing. I mean, I'm so grateful. God allowed me to pursue my dreams and to do it in safety. Like, he has directed every step of my life in this way. A man plans his path and God directs his steps. That's the truth. God, I want to sing on records. We're going to move to Nashville. Okay, you plan your path. Now listen to me. I'm going to direct your steps. I want you to do this and this and this and this. But we're so used to, especially in the Western culture, look what everyone else is doing, compare yourself, and then run faster, run harder, paddle, do it better, do it more. It's just that's not the kingdom of God. That's not how God set things up to be, I don't think.
Now, let me ask you, you were drawn into the music industry as a background singer. That's what drew you in?
Yeah.
And what do you think has kept you in the industry this long?
To be able to work in the industry this long? I think it's skill. Again, if you can, so these two principles, I'm always talking about the two pillars of skill and humility. If you can walk in humility and be teachable and coachable and learn, like I'm a learner. I'm always trying to learn and be better. And with skill too. Like, you know, here's the fact. After 30 plus years of singing in the recording studio, my voice cannot do what it used to do. That's just the fact. Your voice becomes aged and it's not as resilient. And that's just humanity. But what can I do to continue to use this gift and everything that has been invested for the last 30 years in my life to help other people? That's where I am now after 30 plus years. It's not so much about, gosh, I hope I get called to sing on this record or this film or this TV show. My thing started shifting about 10 years ago into how can I help bring in the next generation? How can I help teach them what I've learned? Because, by the way, in this specific niche of the industry, studio singing is what it's called, where you go into the recording studio and you sing, and you don't see these singers a lot. You hear them on records or film trailers or commercials or whatever. This is a viable career that most singers don't even know exists. It's called studio singing. So how can I find singers that are super talented, that have great voices, that need opportunity? Because there is no platform in the world that shows singers how to do this until I started what I started in 2014 called the Studio Singer Intensive, which is where I bring singers in who are interested in this kind of work that I was, who have a dream to make a living with their voice. And I bring them into the recording studio and train them like for, I put them behind the mic. We learn songs and I try to run it like a real session is run. It's very demanding. It's intense. That's why it's called an intensive. and it's like 5 hours in the studio, but I'm just like giving direct feedback, honest feedback to help people so that when they get called for a real job, they don't go in there and flounder. There never has been any kind of training in the industry for this. There's acting classes. You can go to engineering school. You can go to dance classes. These are all things for all of the different disciplines in the arts, in the industry, but there's never been anything for studio singing until now. So I have zero competition in the marketplace. I was telling you, I just started as an entrepreneur, like I'm really diving into building up this business of actively looking for singers around the country. I was just in Houston last week. I was in Miami before that. I'm in Vegas next week. And I'm trying to bring in singers that want this kind of opportunity and show them the ramp into the industry.
Well, how do they know this opportunity exists if it's, first off, it's not marketed.
Yeah.
Second off, it's something that only those that know.
Yeah.
You know, and it's something that's essential. So how do people even find out about it? How do they get involved with it? You're one of one. You have no competition. So,
well, there's a guy named Joseph Shalabi. I don't know if you've heard of him. Anyway, he invited me to be on his podcast to try to help me get the word out. Yeah, it's exactly what we were talking about before the show. Content creation. Like I am learning so much. I'm learning what a road this is, like how hard you have to work and be so consistent in churning out scripts and content and filming and managing and looking at, like I am working 12 to 14 hours a day and seeing very little fruit from it for the last 6 months. But I know that it will pay off. It's very different because in the industry for the last 30 years, in what I've done, it's always been instant gratification. Hey, Tim, come to the studio. I do 2 days of work, get a fat paycheck, go home. Hey, Tim, come to the studio. Go to work, get a fat paycheck, come home. All these different things. And it's instant gratification.
And now it's
like
months, nothing.
But I love it because here's what I love about it. There is no greater joy that I have. This is true. Than getting an opportunity, having some production company call me, like, we need singers for this, or we need singers for that. And connecting those opportunities with talented singers that can do the job with excellence and skill and elevate the whole industry. Like, that excites me so much. And the fact is, I'm the only one going out into the world looking for singers to bring them in. Otherwise,
how do you even find them? Like, what are you doing? Like, posting on Instagram? Like, what are you doing to find
Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, whatever? And I
you do like where you test them, like, I'm going to be here at this date, singers.
I have them apply to come to an intensive, and I
and where do you market it? You just market it on your Instagram?
Yeah. I use a company called Upper Hand Creative. I'm signed to them, so they do all my content, like editing and like management, you know. So I film, they do all the editing, they put it on a schedule, they churn it out. They're incredible, truly. And it's really a challenge to keep up with all of the demands, but that's how the word has been getting out. And Google ads as well, Facebook ads. So yeah, these people apply, they send in some kind of video or voice sample. And man, I just heard this kid in Vegas, and he actually is a hairdresser. His voice, I was like, oh my gosh, this guy is insane. He's so good. And he needs to be working in the industry. Like he's just that insanely talented. So I can't wait to like because I'm going to work with him in Vegas next week. He's one of about 20 singers that'll be there. And anyway, I love finding diamonds like that, and then hopefully connecting opportunities. I had a production company from France reach out to me and say, we're doing this concert tour with an orchestra. We need a soloist. She has to be able to sing in Italian, French, and German. She has to be able to sing rock and classical, legitimately, like in all these different styles, and the range is crazy from low to high. I'm like, wow, insane. But this girl popped into my head who I had met in Nashville,
Who could do all that?
who could do all of it. And so I hadn't talked to her in 5 years. I produced her vocal reel for her, and I remembered her because I had worked with her. But then I called her and I was like, hey, would you want me to submit you for this thing? She goes, 100%. So she got the job, and she's going to do this tour and make a lot of money. And that makes me so happy. And I get $0 of that referral because I don't need that. I don't do it for that. I love to help people. So
You're just doing God's work, man.
I'm doing God's work. If I can make a living also doing it, which I am, he's blessing that as well. So that's good.
Amazing. It's amazing what you're doing, and it's amazing that you're, finding these remarkable talents. And in a lot of ways, that's kind of my job too. I'm just kind of like a talent scout.
Yeah.
So that's, and also being a talent scout, I find the talent, I help mold the talent and elevate the talent and come up with new ways, innovations to basically, help them really, really shine.
Yes.
I mean, in music, it's much more niche. You gotta, and that, especially with singing. So you've kind of created your own American Idol or something.
Kind of. But I can't make you a star on the stage. I can maybe help you have a career with your voice.
Yeah. But do you put them in touch with agents and get them gigs?
Interestingly, there are no agents for studio singing. There's no management for studio singing.
Boom, you found another job right there.
Yeah. So people are like, what? You should really turn this into an agency. Well, I think that would, that's way too complex, and it would
it's just placing talent where there's a job needed.
Yeah, that is the job of a vocal contractor, which is in existence. That is a job in existence already. But what I do, if I find someone who's just incredible, I love to send them around to the different contractors that I know in LA, Nashville, New York, Orlando. Those are the main hotspots for recording right now, and connect them with opportunities. And yeah, as I say, there's no greater joy in doing that.
Let me ask you, what's the difference between someone who's talented and someone who's actually working in the industry? Because I feel like you could be talented, but you still can't get a job, because you see some of these singers, these famous ones, are they talented, or they're just like beautiful? They satisfy some look, or they did something to get famous, or
maybe.
I mean, there's no way like Nicki Minaj is a super talented singer.
Yeah, who knows?
Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So
that's just someone who comes to my head.
Well, you're talking about. You just spoke about two different categories. One is the artist, which that's not what the world I'm dealing in. I'm dealing with the people behind the scenes, the background singers. I will tell you why a very talented person will not work as a background singer. And it's usually because they're entitled. They don't play well with others. I'm talking about, I've had so many singers I've worked with who are just incredible, who blow up every room that they go into because they don't know how to behave themselves, or they think they're just so incredible and they start to tell other people what to do. It's like, oh my gosh, you are a nightmare and you need to go away. When you
or
do
you need
these-
Jesus.
Yeah, well, that too. When you go into these rooms, but also that happens in churches too.
Yeah.
With church singers, and which is a whole nother level. Anyway, these people are super skilled vocally, the ones I'm thinking of, but they just don't know how. They're traumatized and they're fearful of missing out on an opportunity. So they feel like they have to like posture and position themselves in the room to be seen and heard. And it's such a repellent. It's such a turnoff. So for me, I don't want to hire those people because they don't bring any life into the room. They suck the life out of the room because it has to be about them. So I think that's a reason that a lot of really talented people aren't working. Yeah, but I feel like, your gift will make room for you, Scripture says. So if you have a gift, you can get in the room, but you can absolutely sabotage it with your lack of self-awareness and your trauma that you've not dealt with in your life that just comes out of you. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, and their tongue in general.
Yeah.
In general.
For sure.
I can't even imagine the egos you've dealt with, but you've worked with like Taylor Swift and Lady Gaga and these massive brands, these massive singers. Did they start off as just, like at what point, for instance, did you meet Taylor Swift?
Well, that's a false thing. I don't know where you read that, but I've not worked with Taylor Swift.
Oh, okay.
But I have worked with Gaga, and she's lovely. I can tell you. Let me think about this before I say it. I've not met one recording artist who hasn't been lovely. Really. Like everyone that I've met in the industry as a celebrity, like artist or celebrity actors, actresses, they've just been great. And I don't know if that's just my experience. That's all I can say. It's the people that are climbing, that want to be in those positions, that want the spotlight so badly. Those are the people that are horrific to be around.
Yeah, I mean, you've gotten to work with so many. I don't know. There's so many names that came up in your bio, but maybe I confused them.
That's okay.
I'm not much of I'm not in the weeds in the celebrity world much. That's not my space. Finance, yeah. Tell me I'll tell you who the next Fed president will be.
Tell me.
It's Tim Walsh. He's already young guy, Donald Trump's boy.
Wow.
It's gonna help a lot. Help interest rates drop and hopefully,
Nice.
Speed up the economy a little bit more. We're paying, 3 times higher rates than Europe's here in the U.S.
Wow.
So it's all backwards here. Inflation's astronomical. So let me ask you, working with like some of the biggest names in TV and film, in the music industry, what's one project you think that tested you the most?
It tested me the most.
Could be spiritually, could be mentally, I don't know. The biggest test you've endured in this space.
I think Glee was a big test for me. I think everything that we get, every blessing in life is either a test or a trust. Rick Warren says that.
Yeah.
Because God trusts you with something to see how you'll steward it. And along with that can also come testing. Glee was I've never been so stretched in my life. And we lived in Orange County during that time.
Where'd you live?
Irvine.
Oh, okay.
For 6 years during the run of Glee. And I calculated I spent 3 months of each year in my car driving from here to LA, Irvine to LA, to Calabasas, back to Paramount, to like, it was insane. 18-hour days, getting up and arranging a song, going to the set to work with the actors, then going up to Calabasas to the studio, going back down. Just physically, emotionally, mentally, very taxing. The demands of the job. I used every tool in my toolbox that I knew to arrange the songs, to hire the singers, to do all the paperwork and the administration, to field with the music producer and the show producers or whoever I was talking to. It was a lot. And when you're in a successful project like that also, people's dark sides can come out. And I had some experiences on the show that were very, very much a test for me as well. So I would say that. But the first thing that popped into my head, though, was when I was just one project. This particular record, I hired 40 singers for a choir on, and we were just like in a recording studio. And this was a very like hush hush project because the artist is a big artist, and they were about to drop this song, but no one knew that they were in the studio. So it was like this secret thing, right? One of the singers that I hired showed up late, and I was so in the moment, like trying to deal with the arrangement and like manage the 40 singers. And this guy I had never worked with before, but he showed up to the studio late, and he walked through the control room, which you don't do, where the artists were and the producer and everyone. And he was like taking selfies with them before he came and stood on the riser. Now that I didn't know this was going on. And he came in there, and then he took video of the artist standing next to me singing this song and posted it that night. And boy, it ruined my chances with this producer. He was so angry, rightfully so, because this kid blew up this secret that the whole record company had planned to drop this song as like out of the blue. And this kid gave a preview of it on his Instagram, and it went everywhere before we could get control of it. And this producer was so angry and called me and was just like, "This is unacceptable. I can never work with you again." So don't be that singer and ruin it for everybody, But that was a test. That was a test. But I'll tell you, by and large, I just feel so grateful to have walked in the rooms that I've walked in with the people that I've walked with, who are just amazing. The singers in LA, Nashville, Orlando, New York that I've worked with, the artists, the television productions, all of the producers, the directors. Man, I think I've lived a life that most people would really dream about. I'm just grateful.
You have. Let me ask you something. You've managed to keep your kids grounded in a world where they are surrounded by ungrounded people. What do you think the secret sauce has been to keeping your kids' moral compass just laser focused?
Well, I'll tell you, one thing is we raised our kids in Orange County, which is much more family oriented and slow. And I remember going to my my son was in Little League, and I was one of the coaches. And you know, when your kid's in Little League, you go to the field to practice, and you meet the dads, and they're like, "So what do you do?" That's always the first question. And I'm like, and I would say something like, "Oh, I work in the entertainment industry." "Oh, really? What do you do?" "You an actor?" "No, I'm a singer." "A singer? So like you sing at like the Holiday Inn Express lounge? Like, what do you?" This is what they think. I'm like, after a while, I'm like, yeah, kind of that. or if they had the grace to hear it, I would kind of tell them about what I did in the industry. It was like, they'd look at me like I had lobsters crawling out of my ears. Like they were like, what? And it would never, so it didn't matter. That was the most beautiful thing about living outside the bubble of LA, where everyone's like, what do you do? What are you super busy? Work on a lot of projects. It's so gross. And so down in Orange County, it's like,
nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
In Newport Beach, like I'm also a Little League, like assistant coach, I guess. Cause I go to like, my kids are like 6 sports each. So I can't be on, I go to all their practices, but not one dad asked, what do you do? And they're all dads in Newport. It's 3 p.m. They're all living in Newport. They're all at practice. Like, clearly they're doing something.
What do you do? I'm here. I'm at the ball field. That's what I do.
Yeah, that's what I'm a full-time dad. Yeah, living in Newport Beach. Like 3 p.m.
Yeah,
I'm at practice.
And living outside of town, it really kind of protected me. Like I wasn't going to parties all the time or going to events or schmoozing or whatever. I'd much rather be at home with my kids and
at Little League. And
our kids were homeschooled mostly. So if I would get home at 9 or 10 at night, my son would be up waiting for me, and we'd watch cartoons till 1, or we'd we'd play a game or whatever. Like we just kind of lived an unstructured life like that, but it really worked beautifully because now we have amazing relationships. And we definitely stayed in church. We had a faith community that we were a part of that was super important and became really important to our kids as well. And again, we weren't weirdos. We weren't extremists. We just wanted to love God, follow his precepts, and raise our kids in that way. Raise a kid and a child in the way that they should go, and when they're older, they won't depart from it. That's our prayer. We certainly didn't do everything right. My wife did. I certainly didn't do everything right, but God's grace has carried our kids. I'll say that.
Now I'm going to wind down a couple last questions I have for you. You have this amazing kind of vision for your new, I would say, singing, not agency, but like
business,
scouting.
Yeah.
What do you think your overall mission is?
To be an open door, to open the door to the industry, to people that would never have otherwise have the opportunity in cities all over the country. And then I don't know, I just want to infuse people with hope. I think so many people are hopeless, and they've had dreams since they were kids of using their voice for a living. And that breaks my heart, because that was me. Of course, I didn't know I could sing till I was in college, but when I was a kid, I was so obsessed with radio ID jingles, like Kiss 108 FM, that kind of stuff. I know it sounds crazy, but I was obsessed with those and the harmonies and the vocals. And I was like, and if my parents had paid attention, I had great parents, but they didn't know that world. They would have said, why are you obsessed with ID jingles? What is that? Maybe God put something in you before you were born as a desire that's going to point to your destiny. And so that's what I tell people, you don't need to feel bad or guilty because you have this desire. It's not a selfish desire necessarily. It may come with some selfish ambition, but if you have this dream or this desire in your heart, like I want to be one who offers a hand to help pull, like bring your desires to bear. Because I just believe that God puts desires in our heart for a purpose and for a reason. And if we pay attention to them and don't just like shelve them and say, yeah, well, it's not for me, and play victim, God can do whatever he wants. He can maneuver people and place you wherever he wants. So why limit him? And I do in my intensives, look, probably the number one thing that singers face is fear. As a creative, singers are sensitive. I call them babies because they're whiny babies. Like, because I am a singer, so I can say that. But they're sensitive and they're fearful and they don't want to take risks. And everyone around them is saying, boy, you better find a real job. You got to find something else to fall back on because the industry's really hard. You're probably never going to make it. Speaking death over everybody. So when we come into the studio, I do this thing called the identity exchange. And I have everyone write on a card. There's a card on their seat that says lies, and then there's a card on their seat that says truth. And I say, I want you to take the lies card and I want you to write down everything that you believe about yourself that hurts you. I'm stupid. I'm fat. I'm ugly. I can't sing. I don't deserve it. I'll never amount to anything. So anything that you've believed about yourself that hurts you. All of those came from a liar. Now I want to introduce you to the Spirit of Truth, because the Spirit of Truth is the one who created you, and the Spirit of Truth will always speak to you in love and with grace. So I want you to ask the Spirit of Truth, what do you say about me? Who do you say that I am? And then I want you to write down the first thing that comes to your mind. And everyone's writing on their paper. And as they're writing, I see them just like tears starting to stream down their face. And it chokes me up because I see this encounter with love that they have. And I don't know anyone's faith background who walks into those rooms. And frankly, I don't care. I want them to see rightly who they are by the one who created them. And as they write down these truths, and I'll say, by the way, if you ask that question and the things that you're thinking about, what you're hearing, if it makes you feel ashamed or condemned or guilty, try again. That is not the Spirit of Truth. The Spirit of Truth will always speak to you with love and grace and kindness. And I see it transform people's minds in the moment. And then I'll have them read it over themselves. I am beautiful. I am valued. I am precious. I am wanted. I have a voice that needs to be heard. Whatever is on their paper, and they're just sobbing. And what that does is gives everyone a level playing field in the room. I do this at the very beginning of my intensives. It gives everyone a level playing field in the room where there's no fear. And now they can operate from a place of truth instead of lies. And that sets you free to create, because we cannot create and be creative while we're in fear. You just can't do it. A part of us will always be locked up, and we're wanting to know, am I approved of? Am I approved? Am I good enough? Am I good enough? But this just like pushes all of that away, and we can be on the same level ground creating together, and then magic happens. So I love this new chapter of my life that I'm going into as an entrepreneur, and I'm seeing it change people's lives. I'm seeing it open doors of opportunity for people that they never would have had available to them. So
Beautiful. Couple last questions. What's a personal goal that you have for yourself? A family goal that you have for your family? And we kind of hinted at the business goal, but just one overarching business goal.
Oof. These are hard questions for me, Joseph, because I don't come from the business mindset. I'm learning it. So a goal that I have for myself to keep learning and to never quit. To never quit. It's hard. Get a grip. Of course it's hard. Keep going. That's what I'm telling myself. A goal for my family to get, for each of us to become more intimate with God and more intimate with each other. That's my goal for my family. And as we become more intimate with God, then we will become more intimate with each other. And a goal for my business, I want to make $1 million this year. That's my goal for this business. And to help set people free and put them on the path to achieving their dreams in the process.
Final question. When you're in front of the pearly gates, what do you think God's going to tell you?
I think he's going to say, "You're my son, and I'm proud of you. You did what I asked you. And you make me proud." That's what I think he's going to say.
God bless you, Tim. I hope you hit every one of your goals. You're changing people's lives. You're a faithful servant. If people want to connect with you, how do they find you?
Tim Davis Official on Instagram is probably the best place. I don't know what my other stuff is. Tim Davis on Facebook, YouTube. Tim Davis Studio on YouTube is what it is.
Tim Davis Studio on YouTube. Okay, cool.
Yep.
For those of you who have not connected with Tim, make sure you connect with Tim. He's an incredible human being, changing the lives of many, many singers. Thanks for being on the show today, Tim.
Thanks for having me. For real. Thanks, Joseph.